I'm Chris Jarman, and I'm also known as Kamikaze Space Program and Raiden, which is kind of a schizophrenic kind of thing, because I'm coming over here playing under both aliases. The Raiden thing is something that's, obviously been with me for a very, very long time, about 15 years now, and it's very established. In a way, that's my comfort zone. That's something that, it comes very naturally to me. But for that reason, a few years ago, I started Kamikaze Space Program because, I wanted to destroy that comfort zone. I wanted to get back to when you are a little bit scared. With Kamikaze Space Program, it was an opportunity where there's no preconceived idea of what it should be. So it gave me a huge amount of artistic freedom. So I'm not even sure what, Kamikaze Space Program is really. It's just all my influences, of everything that I like, all amalgamated into kind of one musical form. I could wake up one day, make one style of track, and then I can wake up and make a completely different other style of track. Whereas when I make Raiden music, I've been doing it for so long, I almost can do it in my, I can do it in my sleep. I would say in terms of DJing, it's both the same, because I'd love to play, and it's interesting to be able to do different things. In the studio, if I'm brutally honest, I would say Kamikaze Space Program, because there is absolutely no rules, and it's new. You know what it's like when there's something, it's new, it's exciting, and it's fresh. Kamikaze Space Program's a real challenge. It's not easy for me to do, whereas the Raiden stuff is very, very easy to do. But then sometimes, you don't want to do something that's difficult. Sometimes you just want to do something that comes second nature, and that tends to be when the Raiden stuff happens. Well, basically, I've been living in Estonia for the last 8 years, and I was a complete hermit. I didn't really go out or interact with any producers for a very, very long period of time, and that was really good because it's a very pure thing, because nobody is influencing you, only your environment and things like this. But in the last 1 month ago, I've moved back to the UK to Bristol. Basically, with KSP, I was releasing on a record label called Rhythm. And it turns out that they know all the same people I knew in drum and bass. So all of a sudden, I'm communicating more with people in Bristol than I am with people, in Tallinn. So it was becoming obvious that I really needed to I felt it was time to move back and be around other producers and get some inspiration after being on my own for so long. Tekic hit me up, and he said he has a room going in his house, and many producers have lived in this house. It's kind of like a revolving door. Before me there was Headhunter and Addison Groove, Common as Mark, Ice Minus, I think they live there as well. So yeah, basically Tekic is now my landlord, and we also live there with Jakes, and it's a really, really funny environment. Like I say, it's the complete opposite of what I've come from for the last 8 years. Now all of a sudden I'm in this house where you've got 3 rooms continuously, producing music with all these influences. You have Jakes making his dubstep, and he's got a new alias called Judder, where he's doing kind of this 130 BPM crazy house stuff, and then you've got Tekic downstairs. It's really funny. You basically wake up in the morning, and Tekic has no sleeping pattern whatsoever. So you go into the kitchen to go and get a glass of water, and you just hear the most craziest drums, craziest bass lines you've ever heard, really inspiring, and you're just like, right, I'm going upstairs, I need to make some music. It's almost quite a competitive environment, because everyone's always creating something, and if you're sitting in the living room not making music, the other two are. So it's a really, really positive environment. But at the same time, it was a really good environment where I was in Estonia, and the inspiration I had there, because I was, like I say, a very pure thing where I had absolutely no influence from anybody outside. So I was very fortunate to be able to develop my own sound, because there was no corruption involved in a way. But at the same time, no one can take that away from me now, But you know, in Estonia you had like a lot of classical music, a lot of like abandoned Soviet factories, and this was really inspirational for me to try and capture that cold, dark concrete feel, and all the best way I can explain it is just like all these old Soviet factories have a lot of like grey concrete with all this rusted metal, and it's all collapsing, and I almost kind of foresaw my music that way, and that's where that industrial kind of influence comes from. And they also made the movie Stalker by Andrei Tchaikovsky in that same city, and it has a very similar influence, and I'd like to think that same thing influences me, obviously on a much, you know, for Andrei Tchaikovsky's much a larger scale, but yeah, that's primarily what I got from that. And now it's quite exciting to be living in a very alternate situation where you're surrounded by producers. Basically, as you know, there's a really big scene in Bristol, and the thing that I really wanted to know what made Bristol so special, you know, why Bristol? Why is Bristol so powerful? And there's a question that I had when I got there, and it's really very simple, is that there's so many producers there, there's this friendly kind of competition. All the time someone is upping the bar, and so everyone else is upping the bar too, and there's a lot of freedom of information in Bristol. A lot of the producers aren't necessarily competing with each other in a negative way, it's a more positive thing. So there's a lot of information being shared, and when someone does well, people are generally happy for them. You know, there's not so much the jealousy or anything, and it's a very unique, positive situation that I think makes Bristol very unique.